I don't enjoy saying this, but in a few years' time, there will only be two kinds of art left. One that is made by the AI and one that beats it. And most people don't see the shift coming in. And you might be wondering, how will art survive AI and what happens to artists? By the way, all of this confusion is because you would have usually come across two extreme opinions on the internet on this topic. First, the pure technician who think that AI will take over the entire art industry, and second, the pure artists who think that AI won't be able to touch their art because AI generations don't have a soul and they are not real art. Actually, all of the art market is going to split into two broad categories, which are your first, the mass market, which is your illustration industry, which is likely going to be replaced by AI generated art, and second, the luxury market, which is the high value market, which in all probability AI won't be able to touch. And when I say mass market, it consists of app illustration, which is your product illustration inside your apps. It has your t-shirt designs, especially the cheap ones and the corporate ones. Then it has your poster designs, especially for quick promotions. You have your social media assets like thumbnails, cover image, etc. You have your ad banners, and these are probably going to be iterated by using AI. And then you have your basic data visualization, which is again straightforward and doesn't involve much storytelling aspect. And then you have book illustrations like your children's storybooks, etc. But in general, it is just your assets making industry, the illustration industry, that is going to be impacted by AI. By the way, these areas and the neighboring ones are getting disrupted as we speak. But I don't think in extremes like most people on internet. Like all people in the industry, we will not lose jobs. That's what I think. But the craft of making stuff in this market will be devalued as AI takes over. I believe the money is going to be in the thinking part rather than in the doing part. So to survive, you will need to promote yourself from being an illustrator to being an art director, from being a logo maker to being a brand strategist, and from being a poster maker to being a marketing manager. Because AI will solve for how. How to make something is going to be solved by AI. But you need to solve for what and why, at least for the near future. And for that, you will need to get into management and strategist roles. And to do that, you can actually follow the traditional way of learning new skills and applying them, building trust indicators like a portfolio, and using it to gain trust and secure better jobs. And the only small update to this traditional way of learning is, on top of all of that, just keep playing around with AI tools and see how you can improve your workflows. Again, this is all about moving up the ladder. The other thing that you can do is moving out from the mass market to the luxury market. When I say luxury market, these include your commission work, which is when someone asks you to make art just for them, which is custom made, one of a kind of a work. And then you have your brand collaboration, which is when brands team up with artists to make something very unique, like a limited collection or a campaign. And then you have your limited edition prints, which are printed copies of your artwork, but only a few exist. Once you are sold out, that's it. Then you have collectibles. These are small, special pieces people love to collect, like your toys, pins, mini sculptures, and things like that. And then a bit technical, but you have your NFTs, which is digital art you can officially own and trade, kind of like a collector's item, but again, digital and online. Then you have installations. These are big, often interactive setups you can walk into or experience it in a particular space. And then you have large scale murals, which are huge paintings on buildings or walls. These are art that becomes a part of a city in a way. And then there are high fashion, which is when your art shows up in designer clothes, limited, stylish, and super exclusive items. What you've noticed by now is, in this market, value isn't about speed or efficiency, which is what AI solves for. This market is exact opposite. Its values are based on brand, exclusivity, story, symbolic value, which is largely because of cultural significance. A very simple example of this is in the sari market. The powerloom saris are made with machines. These are cheap and fast, typically costing 2 to 4,000 max. And then you have handlooms, which produce unique pieces of art that takes time. There is no upper limit to the cost, but typically they can cost somewhere between 20 to 40,000 rupees for whatever is available generally as Banarasi or Kanjivaram. And interesting thing to note here is you don't know the craftsman of these saris who is selling it, right? So it's not the personal brand driven kind of a market, and which is very interesting because this is how the market has shaped up over time. But one thing that runs heavily on personal brand is commission art. For example, if Ambani wants a mural for his bedroom, he is hiring someone with reputation and a personal brand. He's never hiring someone just because they charge less. And building this brand as an artist is actually quite tough. But here are still a few ways to crack the market. First one is finding a unique style with your work. Then you can also volunteer to work for causes and for bigger brands. Then you can be part of exhibitions. You can build your network not just with buyers but with artists and curators. You can start working with galleries, and you can try to showcase your work in high end spaces where your art can get the right exposure. Then you can use tactically your social media to promote your brand or showcase your artwork. And then collaborating with brands and other artists across different mediums. And from all that, see what works for you and what you can afford, what's easier for you to start with based on your unique vantage point, which is basically where you are in your life, right? My point here is don't just stand there and watch the world burn. Move up the ladder, which is your strategy role or management role, or move out, which is move out from your mass market to your luxury market. See, where most people go wrong is being in the mass market and talking on social media as if they're in the luxury market. I'm not saying that your art does not have a soul. It's just that your market does not value it enough, and AI is going to worsen it for you, especially if you don't make your move. Either move up or move out. Now, I know Miyazaki will say that he'll never use AI for his artwork, which is fine because he is a legend, and he's a legend in the luxury market, kind of an outlier in that market because his movies make 300 to 400 million dollars. That is fine, that works for him. He can say FAI. But modeling our career based on that is a lot of risk right now, especially if you have never been a part of the luxury market. So that's my 2 cents of practical tips on art as a designer. But if there's anything I know about artists, it's that they would do their own thing and find their own way of solving their problems. My message here was to throw some light on different paths that is still available to us in the hope that it will give some people some idea and some direction for their next career move. So that's it for this video. I hope this was helpful for some people. And if it did, then please subscribe to the channel and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.